I feel like I haven't done a live stream in a little while, so figured I will initiate by doing one just now. A lot has been happening in my life in terms of various people I've been meeting. And yeah, it seems like every week is there's something interesting, exciting going on. Um, I probably have mentioned about the scuba diving experience a couple weeks back, where I was able to go through a whole week and get certified, which was great. So I kept in touch with one of my diving instructors. That was his name is Glenn, and actually we've had dinner a couple of times now. So just had dinner with him just now. Also, and every time it's very interesting conversations for sure. Another thing, my friend Andy from high school has been visiting me for the last few days, and I also introduced him to a number of people, like Glenn today. Introduced him to close friend Michelle. I think yesterday. Wow, days blend by, and just hanging out with some coworker friends as well yesterday, and just getting people connected together that otherwise probably wouldn't have met each other except through in this situation through me. So, but one thing that was interesting in the conversation with Glenn, aside from him telling a lot of his life stories, is his observation that he's very good at talking funny stories and interesting ones. But one thing he said was like, I often forget how old I am. I feel like I'm 25, and I haven't asked him his age, but I presume it's at least 60. I would think. And I was thinking to myself, well, what about? Well, I actually asked him, like, what about people your age? And he said, their lives exist in their living rooms. They are very boring people. Uh, and I suppose I thought that was really interesting. That was kind of funny how he said it. So to me, I was thinking about what about people around my age, say, right? So I'm in my late 30s now, and people around my age, frequently in the past, I would have always assumed by now, like given the traditional landscape of foreseeable events of getting a career, that would have been career, family, married, have some kids, or at least one, or at least married and have a house or something. Right now, I'm still living in an apartment. I am presently single. And I wasn't expecting to get married and divorced and all that. But point is, I do wonder, kind of like what Glenn was saying, like, is there a fundamental separation as well? Like, in that sense, like in his life, he, for better or worse, is just he does a lot of interesting things. Like besides obviously scuba diving and teaching me, teaching different people that he also writes code for fun. It seems like he also mixes music. He seems to travel quite a bit. And it's just like his life is very lively, right? And that's regardless of having like a family, so to speak, or like an immediate like partner with any kind of kids, right? Like apparently that aspect of you know for better or worse, that's where it is. And so for myself, I've thought like I like living. I used to think living a conventional lifestyle, in some sense, like, is that really all that there is? I think for much of my life, I assume that is all there is. But I wonder, like, the people that I meet these days, they're quite an eclectic bunch. I mean, but all of them share these commonalities, I feel like, where at least the people I really resonate with, they see life differently, in the sense that they are able to see past like the kind of narrow scope of boundaries that traditionally people, at least I was told, like I should follow, like go to school, go to grad school, jump in straight into aerospace job, and then like by some time there you would have found somebody and then gotten married And then by this point, according to my parents' thoughts, I would have a kid by now. So with all that said, where would that, like, as my friend Andy pointed out, if you did follow this very linear trajectory, you may not have discovered your profound love of like poetry or art, or really engaged in a lot of these activities, like for instance, learning how to scuba dive, or not just that, but other things too, because your head would be wrapped up more in the normalcy of life. And I do think about like one of my closest childhood friends. He followed, in that sense, a more traditional route, and he's happy with his family, his church, and he has a kid, and it seems like he's pretty fulfilled. I don't really engage with him very much, but to each his own, right, or her own, or their own. And I think these days, if I like the friendships are dynamic, so the friends that I choose to connect with and stay strongly tied together, unless there's been wrongs committed on my part, but for the most part, like, assuming that I'm respectful and all, and I do have hope that even despite conflicts, people that are meant to engage with each other will tie together again. My point here is like the people that I do choose to engage time with and energy also resonate on that level as well. And when I was younger, there wasn't any choice, right? Like you just or at least I didn't think so. Like I had to like put myself in a box, so to speak, to follow this kind of set routine. So in a sense, like, I suppose it feels kind of liberating. And I do, especially in the poetry community, I have met much older people who still carry that very childlike wonder. And, some of them may dress fairly unconventionally, and definitely express themselves in unconventional manners. And I feel really drawn to that. And that's probably going to stick around with me. So regardless of how many more years do I live on this planet. So overall, I think the natural tendencies to connect with other people who are similar in the way they see the world, that's natural. For myself, that frequently means I do gravitate towards the creative people, the spiritual people, the ones with interesting life stories to tell, which probably means they've gone through a lot, so for good or bad. With all that said, really, that's just it. I started this new journal here. This is kind of cool. We're made of star stuff. I think it's made in. So I love space themes, right? So this book, I've been doing things a little bit differently because I've been not like look at this. This is all like colors. Yeah, that's not what's different. But I've been like gluing or taping things in here, and eventually I'm gonna write some more things in the places where I could engage more in filling up the blank spaces. So, but I don't know, went to church today, out of all things. Sometimes I do that, tape the scripture reading, which is actually pretty good. So yeah, I'm just been taping things in here, but I don't know. I wonder if there's a community for people who write journals and glue things in there. It probably is. That'd be a community I could resonate with as well. That's what you gotta do, right? So find those who resonate with you, and then depending on where you are and where they are, you can stay connected. Anyway, that's about it for now. This is Sunday evening, so July 20th, 2025. I wonder what future me will think. As far as right now goes, I'm doing pretty well. So with all things considered, I never thought I would really say that. But, yeah, overall, like, if I look at last year, there's probably I don't think I was doing that well. And definitely the year before, a lot of struggling. I think the last time I could truly say that this is where like I'm meeting new friends and forming new connections every week. It's been a while, because I think I would like to say from like 2020 or so to about 2023, about 3 years. I don't think I hardly made any new connections. So yeah, so I'm glad that's happening again. That's for sure. So whether through spiritual organizations or poetry or art or sound bowl events, which is spiritual, I suppose, or just like even my diving instructor, like I said, or this, you know, random person who owns a store in the Heights that I talked to for a while, and now we're going to try to organize a lecture series at his store. Okay, so we'll see where that goes. But all these random connections, they lead places. That's what I think, and they make life very fulfilling. Because the connections I make, I try to make it so that they are meaningful for both myself and the other person or persons. So, all right, I've mumbled long enough. I am going to say goodnight for now. And the space show will be back for sure, and my readings as well. Just you wait. One of the things on my bucket list right there. Oops. Can't do it. Where is it? It's up here? Yeah. Okay, yeah. One of them is finishing reading one of the sci-fi books that I started reading a while ago. And another is I do want to get my art into some art gallery one day. So that's, in works, hopefully. So, all right. That's about it. Oh, speaking of art and poetry, one more thing. You can go to @SpeakerOfStars. I do post some stuff there. So, yep.